It's Hollywood Week at YOLO today, and we're going to paint a beach scene. So you should have your paper there to paint on. The other side's already been used, but we've got a brand new side for you. You've got 4 colors of paint, a blue, a brown, a green, and a white. And I've gotten myself something to mix my paints on. I found we're going to try and blend some colors. If you have just the lid of a margarine container or even just a piece of foil that you can put out to mix your colors, it'll be a little bit easier to get your painting done. I'm going to take my paper, and if you have a pencil, I'm just going to very lightly draw 2 lines so that my paper is divided into 3 equal sections. The top section is going to be my sky, the middle section is going to be my ocean, and the bottom section is going to be my beach. So I'm going to pour a little bit of each of my 3 main colors out. I'm going to pour out a big blob of my blue here so that I can mix it, a big blob of my brown, and a big blob of my white. And I'm going to pour them sort of at the edges of my work area so I have room in between to do the mixing with those colors. And I'm going to start mixing my blue and my white. So I'm going to pull a little bit of white and a little bit of blue into the middle here and just mix them up to get sort of a light blue. And as I do this, I have a new color, and on this side of it, it's a really light blue. I can pull in more white. And on this side, it's a darker light blue. So I'm going to start with sort of the darker section of the light blue, and I'm going to draw a line for the top of my sky. So I'm just following that first line that I drew, and I'm going to draw as straight a line as I can. This is my horizon, the line that's going to divide the sky from the sea. And so the horizon on the ocean is a very, very straight line. So now that I've got that line to be the divider between the sky and the sea, now I'm going to blend in some lighter, almost white blue up at the top. The sky sort of fades lighter as it goes high, and then I can just blend those 2 areas with some of that middle blue. And the sky isn't going to be a completely consistent color, so I can sort of pick different parts of the blue, throw in a little bit of dark here, throw in a little bit of light here, and I just blend my sky to be fairly even but growing lighter at the top. And then I can wash my paintbrush so I get a nice true color, and I'm just going to dot in a little bit of cloud. So to do that, I'm just going to pick up a little bit of white, and my clouds tend to be sort of flat on the bottom and puffier on top. So I'm just going to sort of dot. I'm not actually painting, I'm just laying the paint down on top of what I've got. And I'm just going to build a few clouds over here. Maybe a big fluffy white cloud there, and just a little tiny cloud beside it. Maybe a little bit of a little flat puffy cloud over on this side. And I've got some clouds in my sky. I'm going to wash my paintbrush out and be ready to start making my ocean. So the top of my ocean, where it meets the sky, is the darkest part. I don't want it completely dark, so I'm going to mix some of my blue and white again over here. And as I pull in on this side, on the blue side, pull in more and more of the dark blue, I can get a pretty dark start to my ocean here. And I'm just going to lay this line right against my skyline to make where the ocean meets the sky. Nice straight line. And I think I want that a little darker. I'm just going to use the straight blue just dot a few spots in there, and then when I pull it across, it'll blend nice and evenly. And I'll put some of the lighter color closer to the beach. Now my bottom line, where I'm going to meet the beach, that doesn't have to be a straight line, because the beach isn't always straight. The ocean might sort of curve in a little bit here, curve down a little bit here. My beach can have a little bit of a funky shape to it if you want. And you see how I'm using the white and the light blue down close to the beach and keeping the dark blue up at the top, and just sort of blending those two together. Gonna get a little more dark up here at the top, just some little bits. And I think I went over my sky a couple times there. So I'm going to try and pick up something that matched a bit closer to my sky color and just redraw that sky line here. So that it's a little straighter and smoother of a blue color. Oh, that's a little bit too light. Just gonna keep mixing my colors till I get what I need. How does that look? Try not to hit my cloud as I go by underneath. And there, we've put our sky back in place. Now I'm going to have to add a little more white to have enough white here to blend with my brown. There we go. And I'm going to blend a little bit of my white and brown here again, so I have some different shades and textures for my beach. So I get a nice sort of light brown, and I'm going to use that light brown for a lot of my beach here. I'm just going to fill that in, and then I can add some tone and blend the beach in. And I made sure I had a paper underneath my work area because I'm going to paint right off the edge of my paper at the edges, and I don't want to paint onto the table. So I just sort of follow that line along for the water to make my beach edge. And now to give a little bit of depth and perspective to my beach, I'm going to start adding in some of the darker. So I'm going to pick up lots of that dark paint and just have a tiny bit of the white right along the water's edge where the sand might be a little bit wet. And I'm going to add that dark color to follow the edge of the water. And there we go. And then I'm just going to put a few other areas that are a little dark, and I'm going to start to sort of blend that down so that there isn't a strong line from where the dark water meets the lighter sand, and I just get a little bit of tone in my sand, and I can add a little bit of the light areas here, sort of following some of the shape of the edge of the water there. And I've got a bit of my beach effect. Now I'm going to add a palm tree over on the side here. So I'm just going to dry my brush off. And I'm going to use some really, really light brown to make the trunk of my palm tree. So I'm going to mix quite a lot of white in. And the trunk of a palm tree, it's a little bit fatter at the top and at the bottom. So the two sides sort of curve in towards each other. Whoops, I pulled a little bit of my ocean into my palm tree there. See if I can just pick that up. Cover that up. There we go. Paint can be very forgiving. And now I'm going to use the dark brown to put some little sort of scoops on my palm tree, and it'll make that trunk of the tree look a little bit rounded, so it's a little more three-dimensional. Just some little bit of scoops with the dark brown along our palm tree. Because palm trees have those little rings around them, and it'll give some depth to our palm tree. And maybe one more down near the bottom here. And then I'm gonna sort of separate out at the bottom of the palm tree how its branches sort of reach into the sand, its roots. Now I'm just gonna wash off my paintbrush and bring in my green for my leaves for my palm tree. And I'm just going to take the green straight out of here because I'm not going to mix it, and I'm just going to put some nice big leaves, reach out to the sides. This guy's going to reach right off the paper, and maybe a little bit down. Big long leaves providing lots of shade. Now as they go up, they don't reach quite as far. Coming out from close to the middle, but not necessarily from the exact same spot on the tree. And there we have some palm leaves. And the last thing I can add, if you want to add a little more texture to your water, is we're going to put just some little tiny stripes of white, sort of like the foam of the waves as they're breaking on the ocean. So I'm going to go straight to my little cup where I can just pick up little bits of white on the end of my brush, and I actually want to pick up a little bit of paint, and I'm just gonna lay out thin little lines, as thin as my paintbrush will let me. And they aren't solid lines all the way across the ocean, just little wisps, just like little waves breaking up to the shore. And they get smaller and smaller as we go further out towards the horizon. And there you have your beach. We'd love to see what you made. You can post a picture and tag Bethany Campiolo. We'd love to see your artwork, and we'd love to have you join us any Tuesday at 4:30 on our Zoom link. You can find the link in our bio on Instagram. Have a great day. Thanks for joining us.